Hey everyone, welcome to my channel Any Tech. In this video, we will learn about Python tuples. So tuples are one category of data structures that we have available in Python along with list, set and dictionary. So let us try to understand these data structures one by one. So tuple is basically a collection of data type in Python that is ordered and immutable. So note the words ordered and immutable because whenever we are storing values in a tuple, it has to be ordered and it has to be immutable. It is immutable, meaning it cannot be changed. Once you store the value, it cannot be modified or it cannot be changed. And tuple is generally defined using the simple bracket, that is the round brackets. So for example, I can define a tuple within the single bracket and I can say some numbers and I can provide some numbers, or maybe I can define a tuple wherein I can also store the heterogeneous elements, right? Meaning that different type of data type can be supported within a tuple. You can also define a single tuple, meaning that you can define a tuple only with one value in it, right? But then remember that it has to be defined with a comma. If you simply write a value and do not provide the comma, that will basically be considered as a value within the parenthesis. It will not be considered as a tuple. And then you can also define an empty tuple. So for empty tuple, you just have to provide the parenthesis, that is a single bracket, and that is it. The empty tuple will be defined. Now let us take some example for a tuple. So let me define a tuple my underscore tube, and let us suppose I want to store some heterogeneous values in it. So I will add multiple variables here, multiple data types here. I have added the integer values, also the decimal values. Let me add some complex values as well. Then I can add some characters, so maybe ABC, and then let me also store some boolean, right? And let us see what do we have. So when I try to print my underscore tube, this is what I get. So this is basically a tuple that we have created. Now also to check the type, you can write type, and then what you can do is my underscore tube. So you will be able to see the output as tuple because we have basically created a tuple here, right? Similarly, let us suppose if you want to create single tuple, meaning a tuple with a single value in it. So I can write 3 comma and then close the bracket. So single underscore tube output is 3 comma, right? So basically this is also a tuple that has only a single value in it. Similarly, empty tuple. So empty tuple is nothing but just provide the bracket and then um, empty tuple, if you try to print, you will get this. And also verify the type of this empty tuple. So it will give you a tuple, right? So empty underscore tuple, and then you can see that this is also considered as a tuple. Now moving on, let us learn about indexing and slicing in tuple. So indexing and slicing in tuple is very much similar to what we have in case of strings, and it is basically used to extract the individual and specific elements that are defined within a tuple. Remember that indexing starts from 0, and in case of slicing, the last value is not considered. So if you write my underscore tube and then if you give the range 0 colon 3, so it will only provide the elements up to the index value 2, because the value 3 that is defined as the last value is not considered in indexing whenever you try to get a slice out of your tuple, right? So let us take some examples on indexing and slicing. So I have already defined a my underscore tube here. What I'm going to do is my underscore tube, and then within the large bracket, I will say 0. The expectation is I should be returned with 9 because this is the first character that we have within the tuple, right? So let us verify. Yes, I get something called as 9. Now, let us take some example for negative indexing, right? So for example, you can write my underscore tube and then within bracket -1. So this time the last character should be written, that is true. Let us verify. So yes, you get something called as true. Now let us take some example from slicing. So let us suppose I want to print the values 0.8, 7 minus 4j, and ABC, right? So in order to print these values using the slicing, I have to provide the index values as 1 because 0.8 will be the index value 1, right? And then 2, and then instead of 3, I have to provide 4, right? So 1 to 4, because if I provide 3, I will be returned with index value 2. Right? We are going to do is we will write my underscore tube, and then you can write 1 to 4, right? This way the expectation is I should be returned with 0.8, 7 minus 4j, and ABC. Let us verify. So yes, you can see that I am returned with 0.8, 7 minus 4j, and ABC. Now let's learn about tuple methods. So there are some methods that we can have in tuple. For example, we can have count and we can have index. So for example, if I define a tuple and if I want to see the count of a particular element that occurs in my tuple, I can do using the count method. And similarly, if I want to see the index value of a particular element that is stored in my tuple, I can do so using the index method, right? So again, let us take some example for the tuple methods. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new tuple here. So tup1, and what I'm going to do is I will say 4 comma 5 comma 2 comma 3 comma 3. So let us suppose this is the tuple that I have created, and what I'm going to do is I will write count equals, and I can say tup1 and then dot count. So I am using the count method here, and let us suppose I want to check the count of 3. So 3. Now I know that 3 occurs 2 times in my tuple. So the expectation is the output should be 2 whenever I print count. So first let us store this value and then try to print count. The output should be 2. So you see the output is basically 2 here, right? Similarly, I can also use the index method. So index equals tup1 dot index, and let us suppose I want to find the index of 2, right? So for index of 2 is basically 0 1 2, right? So if I type index, the output should be again 2. So you see the result is 2. So this is how the count and the index method works in tuple. Moving on, let us talk about tuple unpacking, right? So sometimes when you have a complex piece of code, what you have is you define a tuple, and out of that tuple, if you want to extract the specific elements as specific attributes, you can do so using tuple unpacking. So for example, if I define person and say the name of the person and also provide the age and also the profession, I can say name comma age comma profession equal to person. So this way, out of the person tuple, what I'm going to do is I am going to use a specific attribute of a particular tuple. So for example, when I say name, the output will be Michael, right? When I say age, the output is going to be 30. When I say profession, the output is going to be advocate. So basically, whatever are the elements that I'm defining with the tuple, I can get the same set of name, age, and profession from my tuple, right? So let us take some example of this, and I'm going back to the Jupyter notebook. Let us take the same example. So I will say person equals, and let me define a name. So Michael, and then what I can do is I can provide some age 30, and then I can provide some profession. So let us suppose advocate, and let us define this tuple. Now what I can do is name comma age comma profession equals person. So I have to write like this. And next, what I'm going to do is if I'm going to print the name, the output is going to be Michael. Let us verify. Yes, the output is Michael. Similarly, I can print the age. So age is going to be 30. Similarly, I can type in profession. The output is going to be advocate, right? So this is how the unpacking of tuples takes place. You can also make it more interesting. So instead of just saying name, if you want to actually type the name and then provide the name of a person. That also you can do. For this, what you have to do is you have to write print and then type name, right? And provide a colon, and then you just type name, right? And let us see the output. So you can see name as Michael. So this is a much better way, right? Again, similarly, you can do for age and profession as well. So you can do age, right? And age. So you can see age as 30. Similarly, you can also do for profession. So all you have to do is profession and comma profession, right? So the second value is basically these that we have defined here, right? So profession, and let us take the output. So profession is advocate. Now let us learn about modifying a tuple. So please understand that modifying a tuple is not allowed because tuples are immutable, and whenever you try to do so, you will get an error saying that the tuple object does not support the item assignment because modifying a tuple is not allowed. So let us take some example again. So what I'm going to do is I will define a tuple. So tuple 1 equals, let us suppose 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 5, and what I'm going to do is I will write tup1, and then I will write let us suppose 2. So index value 2. Now if you see the index value 2, it is 3, right? 3 is the index value 2, and I want to change this value from 3 to something like ABC. Let us try to do that. So you see, I am encountered with an error and it says tuple object does not support item assignment because tuples are immutable and you cannot modify the values that are already stored within a tuple. Now let us learn about tuple operations. So there are a couple of tuple operations that we can perform. We can find the length of a tuple using the length function, and also we can concatenate, that is add the two tuple or multiple tuples using the plus operator. And always remember that during concatenation, whatever tuple you are defining first, those elements will be displayed first in the result, right? So let us take some example on tuple operations as well. I'll go back to the Jupyter notebook, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to define some tuple here, right? So for example, tuple 1, and I'm going to define a tuple as 9 comma, let us suppose 0.8 comma 7 minus 4j. So it has the complex numbers as well, and let us suppose some characters and some boolean values as well, right? Similarly, I can define tuple 2, and it is a simple tuple. So 2 comma 3 comma 5, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the length of the tuple 1, right? So do I know the length of the tuple 1? I can use the len function to find the length of the tuple. So let us see the output. So you see 5, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So it has 5 elements in it. So that is what the length function is returning to me, right? Similarly, what I can do is tup1 plus tup2. So you can concatenate the two tuples. So you can see the output. Now, if you see, the elements of the first tuple are defined first, and then the elements of the second tuple are defined. If you change the tuple 1 plus 2 to 2 plus 1, right, the results will be reversed. That is, the output of second tuple will be displayed first. Let us verify. So 2 comma 3 comma 5, that are basically the elements of second tuple, and followed by the elements of the first tuple we have got with the concatenate result. Now let us learn about some operations that we can perform using tuples. So we can have something called as repetition. Once you define a tuple, you can repeat it n number of times. All you have to do is you have to multiply the tuple with the number of times you want to see the repetition of that particular tuple. Also, you can concatenate along with the repetition. So tuple 1 plus tuple 2 into 3 or something like that, right? So let us again take some example on tuple operations. So what I'm going to do is I will define tuple A and equals 2, 3, 6, 9. Similarly, I will define tuple B, so TUPB, and this is going to be 4, 2, 7, 2. And what I'm going to do is I will write TUPA and into, let us suppose I want to, repeat the tuple A 3 times. So I can do so using tuple A into 3. Now you can see the tuple A is repeated 3 times. So 1 time, 2 times, and 3 times, right? Similarly, what you can do is you can concatenate along with the repetition. So for example, tuple A plus tuple B into 3, right? So this way the output will be tuple A plus 3 times repetition of tuple B. Let us verify. So now you can see we have first the output of tuple A, that is 2369. Then tuple B, that is 4272, is repeated 3 times. So 4272 1 time, 4272 2 times, and 4272 3 times. So this is how the operations takes place in tuple. Now tuple also supports some functions that you can use. So for example, you can use the minimum and maximum to find the minimum and maximum values out of a particular tuple. Or you can also find the minimum and maximum value out of multiple tuples. So all you have to do is minimum or maximum of tuple 1 plus tuple 2 and so on, right? So again, let us take some example of tuple functions. So what I am going to do is I am going to define new tuples here. So I will say new tup1 and I will define some values 9, 8, 2, 7. Similarly, I will define new tup2, this time some other values. So 1, 4, 2, 9. Next, what I'm going to do is I want to see the minimum value out of the first tuple. So minimum of new tup1, the output should be the minimum value of first tuple, that is 2. So let us verify. Similarly, I can see the maximum value of new tup2. So the output should be the maximum value of the second tuple, that is 9. Let us verify. Now I can also do the minimum or maximum of the two tuples together. So I can write minimum of new tup1 plus new tup2. So in this case, the output should be the minimum value of the two tuples, that is 1, right? So let us verify. Yes, the output is 1. So that is it for today. Thanks for watching and I hope to see you in the next video.